It is 1:02. Hello, hello, hello. This is Maria Shell, and welcome once again to Witchy Wednesdays at 1. Yay! Today is Wednesday, the 15th of March, and I am happy to be joined by Elizabeth Whitacre of Goddess Rising Metaphysical Supplies. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm excited to hear all about you and your soul mission and your business.
Yes.
So if you could, for just a moment, we're going to hang in there and see if anyone wants to join us through the link.
Absolutely.
Pull into my Facebook here, and sometimes we will get comments or questions through the Facebook page. So I want to pull into that, make sure we can see those things. Now, for all of you out there who may be in Facebook land, I am going to try my best to see your comments. We will be leaving room at the end of this interview for any questions that you may have. Other than that, we will just get started and see where we land. I don't know what happened there. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. Just another 2 minutes or so, and we'll get started here at 5 after.
Perfect.
Oh, I can hear it. Let me turn it. Otherwise, I'm going to get an echo.
Yep.
All right. We're good. All righty. So where are you from?
I'm in Buffalo, New York.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, you guys are smacked with snow right now, aren't you?
So we actually didn't get it too bad here for this one, go around.
All right.
It actually missed us. So
I know you guys have been just getting slaughtered this year.
Oh my gosh.
Hey.
Yeah.
Well, and of course, then there's California, who doesn't know what to do with that much snow. So
I know.
you guys have it through, right?
Yeah, we've had some real bad ones here this year, and then you see down south or Southern California, and I feel bad because they're not equipped.
No, they're not at all. They've got to call in reinforcements from other colder places in the country. Yeah. I've seen on the news where people from Minnesota and wherever are driving down there to help bail them out.
Yep.
Crazy. All right, it's 5 after, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Once again, this is Maria Shell, and you are joining us for Witchy Wednesdays at 1. And today we are joined by Elizabeth Whitacre of Goddess Rising Metaphysical Supplies. Welcome, Elizabeth. Please do tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure.
Any family details, where you live and what you do, just give us a little background on you.
Absolutely. So again, my name is Elizabeth Whitacre. The shop is Rising Goddess. And we are working on a Goddess Rising Fest for later this summer, early fall. So that's exciting. So the shop again is Rising Goddess, again in Buffalo, New York. So we are cold, snowy, dreary most of the year. And then we have 2 months of really beautiful weather. They're not all together,
right?
But we have about 2 months. I am a life coach and tarot reader and spell consultant. So and the shop manager. So I wear many hats at the shop.
Yes.
I also do have a day job. I'm a training professional. And family and hobbies. I would say most of my hobbies right now are kind of woven into shop life.
Yes.
I do live at
I've been there, done that. Still doing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Most of my workshop has actually moved into the shop, so I do most of my creating there.
Oh, good.
I live with 2 cats. I do have a partner. We've been together it'll be going on 5 years this summer, so that's pretty incredible. He is amazingly supportive.
Wonderful.
Doesn't quite understand it, but is absolutely happy if I'm happy. So could not be more thankful for that. Again, education. So I am a trained and certified life coach. I also hold a bachelor's in HR management, and I have, again, worn pretty much every hat in the HR realm.
Sure.
So that really kind of helps with the admin and the business part of it.
Right.
But my sole mission truly for the shop is to create an inclusive space for people that don't feel like they have found their space yet. And that can be a very wide range of people. And we find we don't really have your like ideal customer, right?
Right.
Our ideal customer is someone that's looking for like a comfort zone, someone looking for a comfortable spot to come in, to shop, to learn, and to also create.
That sounds wonderful. I know a lot of people, especially those who are just placing their feet on the path, feel a little bit outside of normal, what we might call normal society, and aren't quite sure where to find their people. So
yes, so we have a lot of people coming into the craft, into healings, into their healing centers, spiritual paths, and we also have people that have not found a place within other communities, within other shops, within other traditions. So we're kind of we're like the island of misfit witches a little bit.
I'm not sure I ever met a well-fit witch.
Yes.
A little bit about what we do is outside of the box of what is considered normal or traditional, but that is in fact the sweet spot of it, right?
Absolutely.
Because if what were normal or traditional was working great for us, we wouldn't need an alternative.
Yes. Very well put. I like
that. So tell me a little bit about how you first found yourself on this path, and maybe if you had any particular moments that stood out to you as kind of that, yes, this is really a thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I've been reading tarot since high school, kind of on and off, in and out. I've been, we'll say, a practitioner or studied the occult, all occult and all esoteric, for my pretty much entire life. About 6-7 years ago, I really started to deepen my study in the tarot. Really got down different like Jungian rabbit holes with archetypes in the tarot. And then I decided to get into life coaching. So I really thought that I was going to have a life coaching practice, and tarot kept popping up. And any of my clients that I would see would ask to have a reading, or people would come to me, oh, so-and-so told me you do really good readings. It really resonated with them. So I had an office rented, and I thought, this is going to be, my office where I see clients. And it did, it was, right. But it really ended up being more life coaching, or more tarot than life coaching, right. Which was a very interesting turn, because I don't think if I had said I'm going to be a professional tarot reader, yeah, sure, right, I don't know that my journey would have looked the same. But since I started as a tarot reader, got the coaching background, and the cards just seem to be, because I life coach every single time I do a reading. Absolutely. Right. If it's 5 minutes, if it's an hour, I'm coaching you. And it really seemed to be a modality that people related to, because it's visual. So we can see the path, we can see the obstacles, and we can see the way around. So that's really what worked for me, was having that visual storyline while I coached. So I did have a personal office right up until COVID, and then of course pivot, right?
Yes.
So, so I did, let that go, and I was working out of Rising Goddess as well. I was seeing tarot clients there as well,
Sure.
and I was there for walk-ins a couple days a week. And then after shutdown, after I didn't have my office space, and she was like, well, Tina, the owner, suggested I could start seeing all of my clients there. She had a reading room. It was great. And I said, perfect.
Yeah.
So I
Wonderful.
started spending more time there. And what happens when I spend more time anywhere, I tend to get a little like, okay, what can we fix? How can, what is your vision and how can we achieve that?
Right.
So I started becoming more involved in the, every aspect of the shop, and eventually kind of took over the admin and manager side of it.
Okay.
And that's kind of where we are now. So it was, again, I don't think I could have forged this path. I manifested this path.
Yeah.
And that's
absolutely.
really, was really one of the moments that I really felt powerful. And, not only did I create a practice, but now I have this container for this practice, and it's mutually beneficial. I can do some of the things that, some of the business stuff that I've been trained on.
Right.
And Tina can focus on the customer relations and those things that, her background,
Sure.
that her background really prepared her for. So it's really an amazing partnership that I don't think either one of us could have decided to create.
Right. Yeah. Often, what it is that we envision as our way to a destination, goal, or desire, right? It's like, okay, I can see clearly the path of least resistance to the whatever. Spirit has its own idea, I think, sometimes about how we get there.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And about granting our desires in so much bigger and better a way than we could have with our human mind conceptualized in any given moment, right?
Yeah, if I would have told someone, hey, I'm going to find a shop that, needs a little bit of help recognizing its vision, the owner is going to completely, be on board with it. And I'm going to be able to take over the operation side of it and event planning and all of that. If someone said you're going to walk into a shop and find yourself running it, basically, I would have said that's absolutely bonkers, never going to happen.
Right.
But that's exactly what happened. So,
well, and not to mention in most circumstances similar to that, right? Someone were to walk into a new business and they would start to kind of, take over things. Not all owners would be real appreciative of that mentality. Like, who are you? And I'm the one who, this is my business and I have a plan, and there would be a battle of egos there, right? But that's not what you discovered at all.
No.
Because each of you was a puzzle piece of a picture, right? And only spirit can create these tapestries.
Yeah. So she had the vision, and I had the pieces to all of the little pieces to put together to get there. So
yeah, absolutely. What sort of people in the spiritual community inspire you? And what's your sort of focus in personal education and training right now?
So people that really inspire me, and they're kind of all over the board with how they choose to kind of exhibit how they work with spirit. So I am inspired by Benabel Wen is one of my favorites. She is a tarot, she's a deck creator, she's a reader. Her website is just an encyclopedic knowledge of all things I Ching, tarot, all sorts of stuff. So I do read intuitively, and I, rely greatly on intuition. I also love learning and learning from different viewpoints. So I really like Rachel Pollack, the deck creators and the authors that
Sure.
really expand on the accepted view of a modality like tarot.
Right. Yeah.
So I really, that's who it kind of inspires me.
Wonderful.
Christopher Penczak, people that follow their goals and their dreams and do something a little bit different with what is there. Juliet Diaz. So, and she just created a publishing company to help minority populations and marginalized people have a voice in this realm.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. So I really look up to people that kind of expand the container to hold more knowledge, more people, more viewpoints, because the more people we get and the more viewpoints we get, the more open our mind can be in general.
I agree. And, information is so valuable. And it is up to each of us to discern which bits of information apply to our journey, right? And ring true for us. So I'm a big fan of like the more the better.
Yes.
And then applying my own discernment and experience to that information to decide whether it's for me or not, right?
Like right now I'm studying personally all sorts of things. So I'm studying kind of death, dying, and spirituality.
Right.
Right now in Buffalo, there seems to be this rebirth or renaissance of death positivity.
Okay.
And I am really interested in how that all works. So that's one of my areas. Slavic magic and Slavic witchcraft.
You should end up on this program on Baba Yaga's Hut.
Right. So I love Patricia Robin Woodruff and all of her writings. Madame Hamida, Gentle Hearts Unite, and I can't remember her name, Slata, I can't remember her last name. So I've taken different courses from them and just, reading about Slavic mythology and really getting into ancestral work through that channel.
Right.
And I'm also reading about goetic demons, the Goetia, and the books of Solomon. So there's 3 very different flavors there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But again, that's kind of how I keep it. And I do fall down rabbit holes of one specific, and then I'll switch up and I'll deep dive that.
I'm also right there.
Yeah. So, and just different things really interest me in different facets of my personal practice.
Right.
Of course, the Slavic witchcraft is close to my heart and my heritage. The Goetic demons and working with the Goetia fall in line with how I feel about like ritual magic and, how to work in, again, rituals, sigils, different, all of those like really like picky steps.
Yeah.
And that's basically the exact opposite of like Slavic witchcraft, right?
Yeah.
And
which
then,
is real primal, raw, wild, like earth magic. Yeah. Elemental magic.
Yeah. So we get into the elements, we resonate with the elements.
Sure.
And the spirits behind them. And then with the, death and dying, that's kind of the, I don't want to say kind of a practical application of everything, but it's one of the things that is guaranteed for all of us.
Well, and it's something that we are doing continually anyway.
Yes.
Parts as we change throughout our lifetime, parts of us die away and new things are reborn as a result of that process, right? every winter as we follow the seasonal cycle. For God's sake.
Someday, yes.
Yeah, just had one of those winters. But yeah, if we are dedicated to our practice, it's an ongoing part of our practice. And I think too that we today more than ever before are faced with death and dying. So I have talked with quite a few sisters who are exploring becoming death doulas and other forms of counselors and caregivers and healers and space holders for the sovereignty of the last of this human experience, right? So yeah, mad respect for that.
Absolutely.
I fall more into the midwife birth doula category of calling. Although I have also done end of life rites as well. So, but I've assisted several births throughout the years, and that seems to be like where my mother energy is most at home, right? But, so you very specifically work with the tarot along with other modalities, obviously. So, how is it that you have adapted your personal tarot process? What other than traditional tarot readings, which anybody would kind of cursorily recognize, right? Are there any other ways in which you are utilizing the tarot as a magical tool?
I use tarot in Spellwork.
Okay.
So again, I do not work with specific deities. I work with archetypes.
Okay.
So I can pull from the tarot for any of those archetypes. So I will use them in spell work. I've used them in manifestation work, healing work. So I do make altars specifically with that card. And I have different decks that I use just for spell work. Again, when I do coaching, the reading is not going to look like a regular reading. What I tend to do is start the reading without the person really, like when we're doing our talk, when we're doing the, what are you looking for? And I'm shuffling and I start to kind of lay the cards down and really getting their energy and intention. Yeah. So instead of doing like the Celtic cross spread,
right,
I will use a more intuitive flow spread. So the cards are read as they talk. So as they're, talking about what they're going through, I'll lay out that row or that column, depending on, again, what intuition calls.
Sure.
And then, we work through that. So those are a couple of ways that tarot might look a little bit different with me.
Okay.
And sometimes I've done a whole kind of more like just intuitive reading. I do also have mediumship as one of my gifts. And when it comes out, it really does.
Right.
But generally I have to kind of set up for it. So, sometimes it'll be like more like a coaching or counseling session.
Sure.
And we wrap everything up at the end with tarot. Sometimes I start with oracle cards. Sometimes I'll make a specific spread as the person's reading. So every reading is a little bit different.
Okay. Wonderful. I think that is helpful knowledge for the people who may be on the beginning end of the tarot path, right? Which has no, there's no finish line too. I'll just throw that out there. As with any other magical practice, it is a continually ongoing sort of up level, right? Deeper, more.
Absolutely.
But I think it is helpful for people to know that as a magical tool, the tarot can be so much more valuable than a Celtic spread or a past,
Mhm.
present, future. And sort of the I don't know, the textbook definition of how one reads tarot, right?
Yes.
Versus how to open yourself to the different modalities offered within that tool for how you can work with it.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if you even know this. I've been reading since 1989. I read
Awesome.
a mixture of tarot and oracle.
Yep.
And I do the same thing. I use them to create spell work. I probably started doing that around 1995 or 6
Mhm.
during my divorce. I broke my deck out and I was trying to figure out like what to do with it, what
Mhm.
I wanted to read. And then I just began, I pulled straight, I mean, I must have channeled it straight out of the sky because I just started
Yes.
pulling. Blasted tower right in the middle for my exploding life, right? And then I just started to surround myself with all of the queens and the high priestess. And then I did a reading around that.
Mhm.
And it was
Yes.
really
Yes.
about my feminine empowerment in the midst of this crumble and chaos, right?
Mhm.
And so for anyone out there who's new on the tarot path, spend time with your cards because they will begin to show you things that you couldn't possibly have conceived in your conscious mind. So good on
And-
you for
Yes. And when I do my intuitive tarot classes, which is usually how I start off my series when I teach tarot,
right.
I always start off with an intuitive tarot, which is basically like an overview of the deck, what tarot consists of.
Sure. Yeah.
And then we go into the intuition. And one of the things I always say is you're never wrong.
Yeah.
And then the next thing is just hang out with your deck.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, what does that mean? I'm like, you just hang out with it. Have it with you, shuffle it, pull some cards, look at the cards,
Yeah.
see what images, what colors, what figures,
I
what
carried
pops.
mine in my purse when I first started really getting into reading, and I was obnoxiously reading cards like at the drop of a hat, like in the
Yes.
McDonald's. It didn't matter. Like I just whip them out.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, very much so. Very
Yep.
much so. I think too, you start to see the subtleties of like, oh, if you look at this guy in this card right here, looking at that card right there with a look of disgust on his face,
Yes.
So the subtleties, the little subtleties of how the cards play with each other to create a bigger picture for you if you're available to see it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, good stuff on the tarot for sure. All right. It looks like we're about into our half an hour here, so I don't want to keep anyone too long, but where can people find you? How can they learn more about working with you? Give us all the deets.
Absolutely. So my personal tarot practice you can find on Divination Station, mostly on Facebook right now. And then with the shop Rising Goddess, again, you can find us on Facebook. Rising Goddess NY on Instagram, Rising Goddess NY on TikTok. We're not the best at updating TikTok, and we're not the best at updating on Twitter, but we're there too. We're there. I do have a YouTube channel for Divination Station, so if you want to get a style for how I teach, how I read, I do go through every major arcana as well as the number card. So then I get into like the aces, the twos, the threes.
Yes.
So I do have videos up on YouTube for all of those.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah.
So you can check that out. Again, Divination Station Tarot. And Rising Goddess, if you do follow us on Instagram or Facebook, we also do live sales. We do live card readings. Really looking to get back into that live and interactive space a little bit more. We got a lot of business stuff done and out of the way, so now we can focus a little bit more on the lives.
Yeah.
Again, we do like live sales when we get new crystals in. I love crystals. I love specimens. I love rocks. So I get real hyped when I talk about rocks.
Yeah.
And you can always watch any of our lives again, like on Baba Yaga's Hut, you can watch any of our previous lives. RisingGoddessNY.com
Wonderful.
That's where you can mostly shop. But I am shifting to get our readers on there as well, and really looking to add a blog space there as well. So right now it's primarily what we have in the shop, and we specialize in apothecary items, ritual items, altar items, and then of course books and decks and jewelry and all that. So
all the good witchy stuff.
All the good witchy stuff.
Well,
So Rising Goddess.
Yeah, actually this morning, just so you're aware, and everyone out there is aware, this morning I was doing the research on how to start your own YouTube channel, because I have been banking all of these recordings since the first of the year when I started this. And I got about 10 of them in the archive now. So I've been waiting till I had 10 or 12 that I could give myself a head start with on a weekly podcast, right? So yeah, I'm actually hoping to get that up within the next week or so, get the first episode on there. And so eventually this one will appear on this as well, maybe like 10 or 12 weeks down the road. But when yours is coming, I will definitely let you know so that you can share that on your social. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
All right. Is there anything that we would like to talk about that we haven't covered here yet?
I think that should cover it. Oh, and we also, if you do follow us, you're also going to see pictures of our shop cat, Trixie.
Oh, wonderful.
So I would be remiss to not mention Trixie. Again, could not have chosen a better cat. She manifested herself for us.
Yeah.
So
I think,
tarot,
now that we are in the age of Aquarius, and we've really been feeling ourselves come through the birth canal on that, right? As a species.
Yeah.
I think more and more people are going to begin to notice these signs, symbols, and synchronicities occurring in their lives if they are open to receiving it.
And a message that came through in a reading last week was just that. I said, look for your signs, but think ahead of what you might want that sign to be. I said, if I see, if I look at every goose that crosses my path as a sign, then,
I'm going to end up with goose poop on my shoe.
Exactly. So it's discerning. It's discerning the signs. And hey, if I see a hawk as I'm making this decision, if I see a hawk flying, then I know I'm on the right path.
Yes.
It's recognizing the signs for what they are.
Yeah.
Not ignoring them, but also, not looking and having, again, sovereignty in our own confidence and our intuition.
Yeah.
To know what's a sign and what isn't.
Yeah, absolutely. I am, just so I can relate with you a bit there. For all fall, I was seeing a murder of crows behind my workplace. And the closer that we got to sewing and our shadow work, there were more of them. So it started as 5. And then it wasn't long before there were 7 of them. And the last time I saw them before they wintered up, there were 13. And I knew it was coming. So yeah, and my drive to work is my quiet time. It is like I don't have the radio on. I am receiving my downloads and inspirations as I'm kind of driving that same route on autopilot every day, right? And I've been doing this for years. As I wrote my book, I received a lot of those downloads as I was on the highway going to work. super early in the morning when no one else was there, right?
Yes. Same.
But because that's one of those things, like one of those signs and synchronicities, like every day as I'd finish that time of downloading and scripting and being in that magical and energy, right? I would pull into work and park my car, and then I would look up, and there those crows would be in the trees over my head. So yeah, it's something. All right. Well, thank you so much, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
For joining me today. I really appreciate it. Remember, everyone, to look below in the comments where you will find links to Elizabeth's social, to her website. Once again, we appreciate you following us here.
Thank you.
Until next week, when I think maybe it's going to be little old me talking about Ostara energy and the seeds that we are planting for spring. This is Maria Shell saying thank you for joining us. We will see you next week on Witchy Wednesdays at 1. I love you like mad. I'll talk to you soon. Blessed be. Bye-bye.